I wanted to introduce our 3 panel members today. First, we have Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen, I took some notes on her, graduated from Providence Catholic High School. She attended Webster University in St. Louis, graduated from there in 2015, played tennis there all 4 years. Since graduating from college, she worked for the St. Louis Blues, which we'll forgive her for, because she's wearing her Blackhawks sweatshirt today. She also worked for CBS Radio, St. Louis, and St. Louis Magazine. Recently, within the last few months, she took a job back at her alma mater. She is the Director of Communications at Providence Catholic High School, and she was just named the head boys and girls tennis coach there. So she is busy. And then next to Kathleen, we have Tori. Tori, what's your last name?
Isom.
Tori Isom. Tori goes to Waubonsee College. She is majoring in marketing. She's doing very well in school right now. She's playing softball and going to school and working as well. So she is also very busy. And then at the end there, we have Mr. Alby Lewis, who's going to join us, and he is a published author. He wrote a book called Life with No Words. So they're all just going to talk a little bit about themselves. Tori's going to start, and then when Tori's done, we'll open it up to question and answer. You guys can ask any questions you have, and then we'll go from there.
I am Tori Isom. I got diagnosed with dyslexia when I was in 3rd grade. I was bullied when I was in 5th grade by this kid because I was different. I did not read as fast as everyone else. I did not comprehend. I did not know what I was reading, and he thought it was funny to make fun of me since I was very different. I graduated and I went to Batavia, and I was playing softball there. And then I graduated and I went to Ball State for 1 semester. I left because I wanted to be closer to home, since I just thought me learning better at home with my family and having them be my support will help me learn better. Now I went to Waubonsee Community College, and I just recently got inducted to 2 honor societies. I go to tutoring, and now I'm on softball team for this my first semester playing softball. And now I work at Converse in the outlet mall, so trying to handle all this is pretty hard. But I just want everyone to know that even though you do have a learning disability, shouldn't stop you from doing what you love and doing what you want to do, because I'm still doing what I love, is playing softball, going to school. Nothing's holding me back. I'm still going strong. So yeah. In middle school, I played volleyball and basketball and softball, and then high school, I just played basketball and softball, but now I play just softball.
Just curious about that bullying experience. It's still vivid to you?
Yes, it was rough. It took me all the way to middle school till I graduated high school, and then I left him, obviously, but I just...
I'm going to cut you off, but quick question is, did you encounter this a lot? Or was it just a one-off experience, you know what I mean? Like frequent?
It happened with the same person over and over again.
This nigga's just a jerk.
But it kind of like spread throughout the whole class, obviously, because then everyone found out. So he just kind of was telling everyone else, and then they started looking at me differently too.
You mentioned tutoring, so you still get tutoring in certain classes in college?
So right now I'm in accounting right now, so I go like every single day like before class, and they like help me go through like my homework or like readings or something. They just like help me like go through it and see if I like truly understand it.
So they offer those services at the college?
Yeah, they're at certain colleges. They're called like tutoring centers, so you can like find them anywhere. Any college honestly has them, and you just go there and you say what you want to be tutored for, and they give you the teacher for the class that you need.
Did you take the ACT or the SAT?
I took the ACT, yes.
Were you able to get like accommodations for that?
So I had, yes, they were modifications. I had extra time on it. So with like the reading part, that really helped me. I scored actually pretty high on that one because I actually had to read it and then I would go back and look at it. And then I did it in another room. And then one time I took it and I listened to it. So instead of like me reading it, I had someone listening through audio and then I would look at it.
Can you share what you shared when you spoke to Tara's group about your sticky note tactic, how you studied, how you found ways to make it work for you?
Yeah, so my studying habits, every single time I read a book or like a chapter or I'm like taking notes, I would use a sticky note and I would put what the most important thing I read onto the sticky note and put it on that page. So when I go back to study or look at what I read, I can see the main idea of that passage and I can just look at it and say, oh, I remember that, yes. Other things like if I do like, say school perhaps, I look at like vocab words, I write it on a note card and I have like one side I have the vocab word, on the other side I have the definition, so I can just flash them and say, oh, I know that, or yeah. I just look at them back and forth.
Growing up in school, it was hard. Obviously, I had some bullying too with kids because I would get my accommodations. I'd step out to get extra time, and kids were like, well, why does she get extra time? And that would play into more bullying. They didn't really understand. Group projects, I wouldn't be really included because they thought I was dumb. But I was thankful that I had like really good parents. Same thing, everybody's different, very positive, that I'm like, okay, I'm dyslexic, I'm not dumb. I learn, like I'm just like everybody else. I just learn differently. It may take me a little bit longer time, but I'm still at the same pace as everybody. I have two older brothers, Ryan and Michael. They're very intelligent. They're like can read a book and straight A's, honors, everything. And I'd always used to like compare myself to them, and that was really hard. But my parents told me it's me. I have other special gifts. I like, obviously, coming to speak, talk to people. Obviously, I'm in the communications field. I also majored in marketing, went to Providence Catholic, got into sports, was involved that way. And I did well in school, but I also struggled. Probably like in high school, I got B's and C's and had accommodations, would listen to stuff on tape. ACT was another thing. I dreaded that. Probably got like 18, 19 when I first took it. Obviously, my brothers got perfect scores, and I was like, oh, I'm so dumb. I can't figure this out. But it worked out for the best because I ended up getting a tennis scholarship to Webster University in St. Louis. And one big thing when applying for colleges, that I wanted to play tennis. That was a big thing. But I sat down with my parents, and we knew that having an academic resource center as a tutoring center they also have was huge. Providence did have that for me when I attended high school there, but Webster University has like a phenomenal program for kids that do have IEPs, have learning disabilities, and also international students. So I was able to get all my textbooks on tape if I wanted to, extra time in my classes. All my professors knew ahead of time that I was dyslexic, and I could stay after and disclose that to them if I wanted to. So it was a lot of self-advocacy that I learned quickly in college that I normally would not do when I was in high school. Obviously, like I struggled in like math classes and science classes, but one thing I knew I was like creative. I loved arts. I was in the National Art Honor Society, so I knew I wanted to go in that avenue of marketing because obviously the side of your brain you use more is the creativity. So I went into marketing and advertising. I knew I wanted to kind of work in sports at the time, so I ended up doing a few internships with the Chicago Bandits, going in my sophomore year. I ended up studying abroad in London, England, which was a little nerve-wracking too, being away from home, so far away from home. But Regents University, they also had all the accommodations that Webster had, which I thought was very unique with me studying abroad. I ended up interning for Chelsea over there, the soccer team. I came back, obviously interned for the St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Cardinals. I did marketing and PR and a bunch of that stuff, so I was always communicating with people. I didn't really like the whole writing aspect of things because that made me very nervous because I wasn't always such a strong writer. But I ended up being a stronger writer because I was getting put in these situations. I remember in college, even in high school, I wrote my first paper and I ended up getting an F on it. I'm like, great, this is not good. But because of my teachers and all that, I became a stronger writer and experiences. Worked for CBS, obviously, St. Louis Magazine, and now I'm back at my high school as the director of communications, and I also coach tennis. So I guess one thing is for all you young people out there is keep following your dreams, even if you think you can't do it or if it's hard or people tell you you can't do it, you definitely can. So.
When you do on the paper, the one that you got the F on, how did you turn that around? And you didn't drop out of college, you didn't drop out of the class. How did you do it?
I went to the teacher and I asked if I could have some extra time with them to just explain like what I was doing wrong. And it was like the organization of it. My organization with writing papers was really bad. But the professor, and especially being in like the learning resource program there, they were able to spend extra time and help me. And I kept getting better. Like I got an F up to like a C- all the way till I got my first like A- on a paper. It was like the greatest day of my life. So it always asks like teachers for help. Like that's one thing, like when I was their age, like I was so afraid that like I couldn't ask for help like with teachers or anything, but definitely try to advocate for yourself and do that.
My question is, after college, when you were in the professional world, have you ever had to say, I'm dyslexic, I need this accommodation, or I need a little more time to work on this?
Yes and no. There's some, like, I distinctly remember that when I was working for CBS Radio, I was working with clients and my boss is like, okay, like you need to like write copy for them and do all that, like write their commercials that are gonna go live on the radio. And I literally almost sunk in my chair. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I could do it. I started like doubting myself. And there was one person, like our head copywriter, and I kind of confide in them. That's one thing, like if you're able to confide in somebody, I just explained, I was just like, you know, like I'm dyslexic, not sure if you know this about me, but I kind of like use it like, oh yeah, I'm dyslexic, what's up, I'm unique. But I told her, I was like, you know, like I really struggled with writing. After I write this, do you mind looking over it? So like, especially now in the workplace, obviously being a director of communications, like I write a lot of stuff, but I always make sure that I have like 2 or 3 eyes looking at it as well. I mean, it's not only for people who are dyslexia, I think like anyone, that is a good thing to do, so.
Do you use assistive technology like today in your life? Like, do you use speech to text when you're doing your work? Like, Abby just started using dictation on Microsoft for her papers, and it's helping her so much. Do you?
Is that where it like reads it back to you?
You just hit the microphone and then you speak and it types what you want it to say.
Yeah, I used that before in college and some stuff, but especially now, one thing that I have like in my system, it's called like Grammarly. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it hooks up to like Word and like the website, like I'm editing stuff on the website and stuff, it'll like pick stuff up right away, because I'm a horrible speller. And then Word, I have a system or a program in my computer that if I'm writing, like I can hit it and it'll read it all back to me. So even if I have like a period, it'll stop. So if it sounds weird to me, then I know it's wrong.
When I was going to school, my so-called school, and when I went to learn how to read again, they had reading tests all the time to see how you progressed. And on this program I was involved with, they would give me a reading test and see how good am I doing in reading. Did they give you any kind of test to see how your reading skills?
Oh, that's one thing. I did go to the did go to the center all the way from like 2nd to 6th grade, the Orton Gillingham, 32 degrees. And I went every Tuesday and Thursday. That was another thing I struggled with growing up because Tuesday and Thursdays were usually sports days for practices, and I couldn't be involved in any sports growing up. I couldn't do like basketball or soccer, and we tried to talk to our coach, but my parents sat me down and were like, you know, this is like 10 times more important than in sports, like after you're done with this. So we would drive an hour. It's in LaGrange. We drive an hour from Tinley Park every Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah, so they would give me tests of like where I started all the way up
How
until.
far did you get it?
How far did I
What
get?
grade, what level?
Yeah,
Reading.
like what level do you read at?
When you're back in school for fifth grade, what was your reading level?
Well, I know like it wasn't at the level that I should be when I first started. Like second grade, I remember like I couldn't read anything when I was first and second and third grade when I was going through the student program and I would drive there with my mom. I remember the first time that I read a billboard, and I was like, Mom, I know what that says. Like I could not read that like for so many years, and it was like second grade I finally figured out how to read a billboard.
What did you do when you were working for St. Louis Blues?
What did I do? So if the players wanted to meet somebody after the game, I would handle that. I handle a lot of the press conferences to make sure that they show up on time. And I handled a lot of like the content, like post locker room stuff. So that was really fun and a unique experience. I would hold the mic or take video and then get it up on the website that night after a game and tweet it out on Facebook or social media, take pictures. Did a lot of events for them too.
Did you take the ACT more than once?
I believe I did. From what I remember, if I vaguely remember, I did take it a few times, and one I did not have any accommodations at all, and then the others I did. I had like extended time, but I never had it read to me, so I'm kind of jealous that you had it read to you. So I wish I had that, but I didn't. I just had the extended time, and obviously in another room, which was nice.
All through my life in my school, I was called one of the dummy guys. They put me in a special school for guys like me that wasn't very smart because they didn't know what to do with us. They said, well, these guys are not too bright. Or throughout my grammar school, which was first grade, second grade, I never had a grade there. The grade was 0. You just go there, spend 16 years, when you get 16 years old, you get out, you can go for a trade school. So anyway, I didn't know what grade I was in. They just said, well, you're not very bright. And I said, I thought I was pretty bright. I talked a lot. I played drum. I played drums like they did. All sports. I was good at everything I did. I was good at everything else except reading. What's the most important thing in life is reading. You gotta read. So I just went around like special. We are special, right? Dyslexic people are special. And we got lying with ways to get away from not reading. So my mother helped me say, well, you're just special, don't worry about it, you get through. So when I got out, I was 16, I was at trade school, learned a trade, learned how to run a machine, and blah, blah, and I got away with that. I had my brother fill out the applications, and I also had somebody to take care of the things of reading. So whatever it was that I couldn't read, I had somebody else do it for me. I always had my people. You know, people got their people, I got my people, you got your people. We got people. Anyway, yeah, so I struggled for years, and I got a good job at ITW, and I went around, I said, I learned how to do this, I learned how to do that. I said, I want to go where you'll make some money. So each time the ITW is so very large. So I found out where the money was, where you make the money. And you didn't have to fill an application, you just learn how to do the machine, and you know, I knew how to do it. So throughout my years of ITW, I retired at 55, and my daughter and my wife tried to get me to the hooked on phonics. And I could not do it because I needed a teacher, one-on-one teacher. So you can't, as dyslexia people, you can't just do it. So my daughter got me in a COD, College of DuPage, a special teacher that could teach reading disorders. So I didn't want to go there because I didn't want to tell anybody I can't read because it's so embarrassing that you can't read. You're not going to walk up to anybody or say anything you can't read. It's so embarrassing. You know, when you can't read, it's like, especially when somebody asks you to read something, you just go around when you read it because I don't feel good. I got a headache. I don't feel good. Whatever excuses I can make. So anyway, throughout that process of getting to 55, I went back to COD, they said, then they said, he's gotta take a test. So my daughter said, he's not gonna take a test. You gotta take a test to see where you're at. And my daughter would say, he's 0. I am 0 reading. 0. You know, come on. I can't take a test. Make me take a test, I'll walk out. Because I'm not gonna be embarrassed. Then my daughter talked her into it. It's okay. Then they gave me a little test there, and they see I was 0. Basic 0, first grade. That's as far as I got. So when I was going through that for a year or 2 years, and they said we got to take a test and see my reading level. My reading level was 0.1. And you talk about about people who take a test. Me, I was so happy I got 0.1 reading level, and that's first grade. I got the first grade, guys. First grade. So I was the happiest guy in the world, man. Come on, first grade. Then I went to second grade, and I took tests. Every year they had to take tests because see how the program that they're teaching me, the dyslexia people, and see how you're doing. So hey, I'm doing pretty good. So anyway, I wrote a book about my whole life history, and I think it's very interesting. All teachers should read this book. All teachers should have issues about if you catch somebody that can't read, do not embarrass them. Do not embarrass me or anybody else like me. Because it's the hardest thing in the world when they ask you to stand up and read, and I can't do it. I cannot do it. And I have tears in my eyes. Even at young ages, teachers cannot tell these young people to stand up and read. And it's so difficult for a young person like I was too. And you can't do this to students or young people that they're a real issue. So all teachers should know how to catch these people that can't read. It's so important, especially all you young guys, young girls, and you guys went through it, so, it's embarrassing, right? You wasn't going to stand, well, I'm standing up now because by the way, and while I was back in school, we had lesson tests, because I did it for 8 years to learn how to read. My reading level got to 5.5. You talk about high, this guy was high. 5th grade reading, I never dreamed that I got that. 5th grade reading, I said, oh, so cool. Anyway, yes, I go on and on about what I've gone through, but like I said, there's going to be a lot of questions out there, so I'm ready for any questions for myself or you guys. I'm ready for you.
What possessed you to write a book?
I think my daughter, my wife, and a few teachers. I'm a speaker at North Central College, and there was a lot of teachers there, a lot of teachers like my daughter there, and they said, I made a few speeches that there's, my wife is going, and she said, they are professors, and my daughter, they are a doctor of mathematics. I don't know how she got so smart. I never finished first grade. So anyway, yes, they asked me to, Al, you should write a book because what you've gone through is very educational, and all teachers should know this. And I said, wow, you're right. I should do this. I said, hey, I talk a lot, so I couldn't figure out. I couldn't read that well, but I could talk a lot. I could just talk quite well. Even outside of here, I would make a point, like these guys are doing. I played baseball, I played drum, I did everything that we had to do without reading, without doing something we had. But we are happy, and we did all this and kicking butt. And you girls are awesome. You girls are. Thank you for sitting next to me. I'm proud to be here. I have more questions.
How did you write the book? Did you sit down and did you type it? Did you handwrite it?
Oh, I had the dragon.
You had the dragon, okay, so you didn't, okay, excellent.
And I have a dictator. I mean, that person that types everything. She's my proofreader, and my daughter is and whatever I put down, they put it on the paper, put it where it belongs. I gotta do it. I got my people. You have to get your people. You have to have friends. Friends are so important when you have a reading disorder. I mean, I was with people that were college people, all educated people, said they never, nobody knew I couldn't read. Nobody, and my friends did not know until I was 55, and they see me on the Oprah show and said, I can't read. And I said, you did this and not tell me you can't read? You did all these years without knowing how to read? So we as dyslexia people, we have a little gift that we can just go around it. But nowadays, please get helping. Learn how to read. Because don't wait till I'm 55 like me, because I had to do a lot of stuff that you have to lie a little bit. I hate to lie. I'm not a person that likes to lie. I'm an honest person. Just look at me. Okay.
I want to say something else. Talking about like having friends and like being open with having dyslexia. My junior, senior year, we had something in college in marketing, I'm sure you're coming up on it, called Portfolio Review, where you showcase all your work that you did in 4 years, and you have to write a paper explaining why you chose to go into marketing and advertising, PR, and explain everything that you did. So a lot of my teachers already knew that I was dyslexic, but that's something that I wrote in the paper, that it's something that I was very passionate about, and that's what I wanted to do. And I had 3 people that were judging, I guess you could say. And at the end, I got a perfect score on everything. And she told me, she's like, well, she's just like, you should never say that you are dyslexic. She's like, you never tell an employer that. You will not get a job. You will not do this. She told me you should never tell some. I looked at her and I'm like, you asked me why I chose this. And I said, I'll tell everybody. I'll tell the world that I'm dyslexic. And this is everything I did because I am dyslexic. And I believe that if I didn't have dyslexia, I wouldn't be doing the stuff that I'm doing now. So don't let anyone tell you, don't say you don't have dyslexia. Tell everybody. It makes you unique.
Okay.
Do you have any accommodations on the test?
My driving license?
Yeah.
How I got my driving license?
Well, any of them. Did you get accommodations, or did you just take the
No,
test?
they didn't do it in them days. In them days, they don't do. Oh, by the way, you got dyslexia. When I got my driving license, they said, "What's your problem? I paid somebody to get my license for the written test. I paid somebody, connection, my people.
You paid somebody.
I knew how to drive. See, I couldn't, because I tried the test. I failed. I failed the test. Come on, I read the driver's license to make a test. I knew a stop sign, so I knew all the rules about driving. I was a very good driver. I'm not finished yet, wait. Yes, then I just paid, then I walked in and I got my time to go and take a driver's test. I passed like flying colors. Thank you very much. Connections, people.
I just took my driver's license, like my driver's test, and I've been, nope, not for me.
I have a funny story with that one. So the written test I took is normal. It was the behind the wheel that scared me because I was I never understood the left and right. I struggled with that, and I still sometimes have to think about it. So I was terrified that I was gonna get behind the wheel, and they're like, oh, turn right, turn left. So I was driving, and it was towards the end, and the instructor's like, okay, I'll make a right-hand turn. Well, I get in the left-hand lane, and he made some crack. He's like, oh, you go to Providence, and they can't teach you between your left and right. And I look at him, and I'm like, I'm dyslexic. And he's like, all right, you passed, on to the next person. So yeah, kind of put him in his place.